I have observed in every aspect of my adult life transformational change. Transformational change is not simply possible, it's inevitable. Because if we don't change, we already know what the outcome's going to be. It's catastrophic. So let's have fun. Let's do the right thing. Let's do what we need to do and enjoy it. And in doing that, ensure that the next generations to come have a living system.
Welcome to Facing Future. After recording our last program with John Liu and Sumitra Das about climate impacts in India and China, we carried on with an informal conversation in which John told us about China's history of dire pollution and how decisions made 20 years ago led to it becoming a world leader in environmental restoration. Later in the conversation, he shared some slides of an exciting project in the southeast of England, which he was working on at the time. Hope you'll enjoy this bonus material.
What's happened in China is the situation was so grave. But instead of being freaked out and saying, oh my God, what are we going to do in the next 20 or 30 years? You have to go back 20 or 30 years for China. And they said 20, 30 years ago, they said, oh my God, this is going to be terrible if we don't deal with the pollution. And so this is the type of thing that they came up with. These are all examples which have already been made in China. In my experience, and I've been to 100 countries around the world searching for this, the Chinese are doing at larger scale, and they were forced to because of all the pollution. So where did that pollution come from? That pollution came from the Western industrialized economies wanting someone to manufacture things cheaply and not to have that pollution in their country, but have that pollution somewhere else. So the Chinese got a lot of pollution. And then the Chinese also imported, the biggest export from the United States for quite a long time was garbage. And the Chinese would then separate and recycle whatever could be recycled and incinerate whatever couldn't be. And, so there's a lot of pollution from that until the Chinese said, we don't want your garbage anymore. We don't need your garbage. And so then America has to figure out what it's going to do with its garbage. And that also changes the balance of payments because they're not exporting garbage anymore. The Chinese are not accepting it. So what I see is that this has been done relatively quickly within the last 20 years. And it's happening more and more everywhere. Because if your city on the outskirts or at estuaries going into the sea, you really need to do this because if the nutrification from excess use of fertilizers or pesticides or other kinds of chemicals are going from the land into the ocean, then we're having impacts on the ocean. And so for every country, wherever you are, you need to be on this positive evolutionary succession model where you're increasing the biomass, increasing the necromass, and increasing the biodiversity, because that is returning to the type of climax equilibrium that we actually need.
Okay. So this is fascinating, John, to see that how quickly China has actually reduced the pollution amount so quickly. That's really fascinating.
Well, there's a lot more to do, but
there's a lot more to do, but still they have achieved a lot. In India, I see this when we try to do plantation, mangrove or other local areas plantation. One challenge we find is that there's not enough space. We have to fight, lands are not available. In my city, when I grew up, it was all over, say, second tier, third tier city, all over trees, and I don't see any trees in these days. It's an urban heat island. That's one challenge that I find in